All right, so what is JiJi culture? Here at mine, just my colleagues asking around, we've come up with these different things. So perseverance and creativity, all about problem solving. That's a huge part of JiJi culture and just our mind mission as well. Embracing the productive struggle that comes with new challenges. We definitely hit on that. And a growth mindset to learn from mistakes. Okay, so getting into the meat of this. So you're here because we are going to talk about 3 ways to build JiJi culture, things that you can actively do as an educator in your classroom with ST Math. And so the big 3 here are you're going to join the conversation. I'm going to tell you all kinds of different ways to do that. I'm going to encourage you to find shareable moments. That's going to be big too. And then of course, stay connected. So hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of each other after this presentation ends. All right. So a big thing for me is that as the communications manager, I am in all of these different social media channels. I can tell you a little bit to a lot of bit about all of these different platforms. But my big thing is I want to meet our educators where they're at. So I don't want you to feel a pressure to have to follow ST Math or be on all of these different platforms. It's like, where are you already? Does Twitter really speak to you? Are you on Instagram scrolling, before you go to bed at night or when you wake up? I'm doing that. I know I'm not supposed to be doing that, but that's what I do. So I would just love to hear from you all. Like, what is the social media platform that you really gravitate towards? And that'll help me tailor this presentation a little bit. And it can be multiple too. You can say all of these or none of these. That's okay too. Some people joining this presentation might be like, social media is kind of new to me. Only use Twitter. Okay, that is great news because Twitter is one of our big ones. Awesome. Twitter and Instagram. All right, you're speaking my language, Brenda and Benjamin. I love it. Okay. That leads us right into, it doesn't lead us right into, let me take a moment to tell you about the blog. So we definitely want you to be following us on different social media channels. It sounds like Twitter, Instagram. We definitely have a presence there. Twitter, it's going to be ST Math. And we also have one for our nonprofit organization that created ST Math, so Mind Research. So 2 different ways to follow us on Twitter, however you choose. And then Instagram, the handle there is going to be ST Math. And we'll get into the different sort of content that we share on each of those channels in a minute. But a great way to stay in touch with us too is a little old school, but we would love for you to subscribe to our blog. My team is responsible for putting out the different content there. Sometimes we have fun pieces, like we just did a recap of the ISTE conference that we went to. And I guess all of our pieces are fun. That's how I would think of it. But some are more focused on the neuroscience behind our program. And a lot of those blogs really speak to the pedagogy of ST Math, different ways to use the program, different ways to build JiJi culture. So if you're not subscribed to the blog, I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe, put your email address in there, and every Tuesday you get a little roundup of what we've been doing on the blog, and you can kind of just look through it, see if anything's relevant to you and your work, and read through anything that you find interesting. And I know that this question has probably been asked, but I will definitely share these slides afterwards, so all of these different links that are in the presentation you can find easily. Okay. I feel like, we haven't gotten there yet. Okay. I was like, I thought we were supposed to talk about social media, but we're going to do this instead. All right. So a great way to use social media is to find shareable moments. And so I'd love to pause for a minute and just ask, are you currently using social media in your classroom? And if you're not, obviously there's a reason that you're here. And even if it's just following us and not really using social media yourself, I can give you some ideas and tips and tricks there. So are you using social media in your classroom currently? And if you are, what are some of the ways that you're doing it? Oh, thanks, Callie. No, okay, and that's fine too. Oh, Class Dojo. Okay, that's great. Communicate with parents about ST Math. Yes, okay, so you've definitely hit on one of our reasons for using social media, Brenda. So really all kinds of different reasons that using social media in your classroom could be great. And I've got some ideas here so we can hit on those. Student usage, how your students are progressing through the program. You can go ahead and share that. classroom culture, just the different things that you're doing with JiJi. We see all kinds of great photos of bulletin boards and classroom decorations and celebrations too, just different ways that educators are really celebrating that perseverance and problem solving with their students through ST Math. So a few different ideas here, but why? Why do we do all of this? Well, here on the ST Math side of things, I love when educators use social media because it's a really great way for me to get a peek into their classrooms, into their work, and that actually informs a lot of what we do over here at ST Math. We want feedback from our educators. We want to know what's going right and what's really challenging so that we can continue to give that feedback to our product teams and other teams and continue to build upon the program and improve it. So that's one way. Another way is, again, just that sense of community. I love seeing what's going on out in the classrooms because oftentimes we're able to interact with you and say, oh my goodness, JiJi absolutely loves this. And then we see teachers go back to their kids and say, hey, you know that picture I sent into JiJi? JiJi responded, and JiJi saying, great job, everyone. We want you to keep problem solving and persevering in your ST Math lessons. And another thing that I've seen educators use use social media in the classroom for is really to connect with families and parents. It's such a fun way to give everyone just that window into what's going on in your classroom and what you're doing without having to send, individual emails or updates that way. It's a really quick way to just give everyone a peek into what's going on. All right, so I touched on this, but yes, shareable moments. If you find yourself in the next few months, in the next school year, starting to share more on social media with what's going on in your classroom, if that's around ST Math, we would absolutely love for you to tag us because that is the best way to bring it to our attention. I have tools that let me search in all different kinds of ways, but the best way for JiJi to see what your students are up to and probably respond to you is to tag at ST Math, especially on Twitter and on Instagram. And then we have our hashtags too. So if you're using hashtag STMath, we'll be able to see it that way as well. Now, Brenda and Benjamin, I don't know where you're located, but sometimes we have specific state hashtags as well. So if you're in Texas or Massachusetts, or really it could be anywhere, we're seeing more of those hashtags pick up for different locations. And I think it's just a fun way too, because a lot of our educators go and search for their state's hashtag, or they search the STMath hashtag. And a lot of them get ideas from other educators. What are you doing in your classroom with JiJi? How are you improving usage? How are you doing this? And so it's a great way to just kind of go in and see what everyone else in the community is doing, and then take some of those ideas and implement them for yourself. Okay, now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. So we talked about Instagram and Twitter, so I'll probably spend the most time on these. But Instagram, you can see here, we've got a great educator, Ms. Denias, and she is fantastic at using Instagram for a few different reasons. So she posts frequently, so we're able to get a lot of different views of what's going on in her classroom and her school. She tags ST Math so that those immediately come to the front of our inbox. We're able to see those right away. She uses relevant hashtags, which we just went over. And I love Instagram. I know it's getting sort of a lot of flack lately because it used to be just, a photo tool, but now it's photos and it's videos and it's reels and it's like short movies. It's all kinds of things, which I know doesn't speak to everyone and it feels like you have to do so much, but no, I'm here to tell you as an educator, you've already got so much going on that even if you're just sharing photos of what's going on in your classroom, if you're creating a real kind of a little fun video to get parents excited about something coming up in your classroom, however you choose to use Instagram is fantastic. And as long as you're using these best practices, it makes it really easy for us at ST Math to interact with what you're doing and just start up a conversation with you as well and say, how's it going over there? And how are you using ST Math and how can we improve that experience? All right. We are also going to hit on Twitter, which is one of my favorites because as someone who can be a bit wordy, I know a lot of people don't like the limits on Twitter, but I think it kind of makes it a challenge and it makes it really fun because you have to get right to the point. And so we've got some educator examples here again of our teachers that are great at getting to the point and using Twitter for that. So again, a lot of it is that they tweet frequently. So those are coming to the top of our feed. We're seeing more content from them and more of what's going on in their classroom because they post so frequently. And Twitter is one of those where sometimes Instagram, a best practice is to post 1 to 2 times a day. It can be a lot if you're doing it all day. But Twitter is one of those where there really is no limit. You can kind of post several times a day depending on what you're doing. So of course she's using hashtags. We love this too because it really lets us see our educators' personalities. So if they have a little JiJi doll or anything like that, they're taking selfies. And a great thing about Instagram and Twitter too is that is where you're going to be able to participate in the bulk of our contests and challenges, which I'll talk about in just a bit. So you're on the right channels is what I'm saying, Brenda and Benjamin. Okay, let me talk a little bit about Facebook. I know this wasn't one that came up in the chat, but I do love Facebook because we have our Mind Research Institute page where you'll see a lot of running news and updates and blog posts, things like that. But Facebook is great because we have 2 great community groups on there. So if you really are feeling like you would love a way to communicate with other educators, bounce ideas off of different peers, really get answers to some of the challenges that you might be experiencing. I would encourage you, if you are on Facebook and have an account, to find our ST Math Educators community group. I think you have to request access still. We'll easily give that to you. And then you can go in there and just start reading what other educators are doing out in the ST Math landscape and get questions answered as well. So this is a great place to be if you really want that sense of community. We've got LinkedIn, so if you're using that for professional purposes, we have a lot of great content there as well. I will say it's more kind of company news and ST Math news. If we have product updates or new features, you're going to see it on LinkedIn, definitely. And so as educators, I feel like Twitter and Instagram are really the right places to be, the ones that you're already using. But if you're on LinkedIn and want to give Mind Research Institute a follow, that'll keep you up to date with what's going on here as well. Excuse me. And then of course we've got TikTok. That is the new I guess it's not so up and coming anymore. TikTok's been around for a while, but I think it's really fun. We even get a few students on there. I think you're supposed to be over the age of 13 to create an account, but we do see a lot of student comments on our TikTok. And TikTok has been so much fun for us because if you're an educator, we're actually doing activity examples. So if you have like a short planning day, if you're coming up to a holiday or a break and you're looking for those little activities to kind of give to your students and keep them engaged, we put a lot of different ideas on there about how to use ST Math and different art projects. We've got like a perler bead, we've got a Thanksgiving Day activity. So TikTok has been a really fun way for us to connect with our educators and some students too. I'm hoping they're the older middle school students because of that, over 13. All right, talked about this a little bit earlier, but a fantastic way to interact with our social media is through different usage challenges. So we've seen a lot of, I would say a lot of success with student engagement and school and teacher engagement through our different challenges around ST Math. So usually at the end of the day, it's all about getting your ST Math usage up, but we can do that in a really fun way. We've got just a little calendar here and it's all subject to change, the different themes, but yes, you definitely can expect one ST Math challenge from us during each season. So we actually just wrapped up JiJi Summer Math Club. That was a really fun one for us because whether kids were participating in summer school or whether they were at home, we had different ways for them to keep playing ST Math and do some fun math challenges outside of the ST Math platform as well. So go take a nature walk and how do you see math in your own community, things like that. So that was a really fun one for us. And the next one you can look forward to is sort of our back to school challenge, which I will talk about and plug at the very end of my presentation. So I'm really excited for that. Okay. Now we're going to talk about staying connected. So again, and you know, it takes a while to build to this. Some of our educators have always been using Instagram, and so they have naturally brought that into their classroom. And so I would say for both of you, Brenda and Benjamin, oh, and I see a few more people have joined us, but if you feel like, oh, I kind of use it for personal stuff and I'm sort of interested in maybe bringing those efforts into my classroom, a great way to start is just by starting. It's by taking a photo. It's by tweeting out something exciting that happened in your classroom that day and tagging ST Math so we can see it and start interacting with you. And so all of that brings us to something like this, our Instagram takeovers, where again, it's really an opportunity for educators to share what they're doing with ST Math and the successes and challenges that they've seen, and for all of our viewers on Instagram to to sort of take that information and then apply it to their own classrooms. And so the way that we've gotten to our Instagram takeovers, where our educators literally take over our Instagram account for the day, is just by seeing different, when people tag us through the hashtag or through our handles, we can see that they're talking a lot about ST Math and they're loving it and they're really using it in school, or maybe they're about to have like a big like celebration that day to celebrate JiJi culture. And so because we start those conversations over social media, that's how we found Jen, and we were able to reach out to her and say, hey, you talk about ST Math a lot on Instagram. We absolutely love seeing that. Would you be interested in taking over the official ST Math account for the day and sharing, what's going on over at your school? And it was great because it was just a really fun way for educators all over the country to see how this school in Massachusetts interacts with ST Math. So all that to say, go ahead, get started, start using social media in your classroom, and you never know, we might get to that point where we start up that relationship where we're asking one of you to take over our Instagram account, if you're up for that. Okay, another great way to stay connected with ST Math and our organization is through podcasts. I don't know about you all, but that's something that I do when I take my dog for a walk every afternoon. I just pop in a podcast, and it's a fun way for me to kind of, stay up to date on different brands and company news and all that good stuff. So we have a lot of great podcasts in our library about how to better utilize the ST Math program, whether it's engagement or whether it's really utilizing the data that you can see in your educator console. The podcasts are a great way to take in that information when you might not have the time to sit down at your laptop or print out an article and read it. So I'd encourage you to check out our podcasts. All right. Again, just touching on our math activities, you'll see a lot of these on TikTok, but we share them on Instagram as well. And I just think it's a fun way to connect with us, because oftentimes, you might be looking for a specific answer to what's going on with ST Math in your classroom. How does this work? Why are my students stuck here? But it kind of extends the brand as well, because we're talking about different ways to become mathematical problem solvers, different ways to see math all around you outside of the ST Math program. So these might be fun little, stories or activities to share within your own classroom. Okay, I told you it was coming. So definitely want to tell you about ST Math Launch Day. I encourage you all to join in on the fun. So we know that starting off the school year with a strong ST Math implementation just means greater usage and greater engagement from students for the rest of the school year. And so this year, we really want to encourage our educators to hold an ST Math Launch Day. And so we've put together a whole toolkit. I'll share that link with you all as well. And it's here in the presentation. But just a whole page on the help site that takes you through different things that you can do to really, it's a day of celebration, and it's a day of kicking off ST Math in your classroom. And why do we do this? Because we all want to be powerful mathematical problem solvers. That is such an important thing to be. And so our class is going to be using ST Math this year in order to turn us all into problem solvers. And here's JiJi. And so all different activities and different forms of content in order for students to meet JiJi. And if they've used ST Math the year before, just to create that sense of excitement again for a whole nother year of ST Math. So I really hope that you'll check this out. I hope to see a lot of different schools participating. And we're going to have a back to school challenge too, where if you take a photo or you send a tweet and you say, hey, we're having our ST Math launch day today, here's what it looks like, you'll be entered into a contest. And I think JiJi is planning to surprise some students and teachers with all kinds of fun ST Math swag. So I hope that you'll consider that for your back to school season. Okay, now I am not an educator, former or present, and so I've mentioned Jen a lot in this presentation. She's presented with me before, and so I would really love to use this time for us to kind of hear from your peers. It's one thing to hear from someone who works for ST Math, but it's another to hear from an educator who's actually using ST Math in the classroom and has had success with social media. So just a few best practices that I can share from Jen from the time that we've spent together. My favorite thing that Jen has told me is I'm not an island when it comes to social media and when it comes to ST Math. She is the ST Math and math coach for her school and her district. So of course she sort of takes on that role of cheerleading everyone. But she says, sometimes things like social media, I kind of was the only person interested in it at first. So I sort of had to rally my different teachers and my principal and different people around my campus in order to, participate in things at first. And then the more they felt that excitement of sharing on social media, the more they wanted to learn how to do it. And so Jen took on that role of saying, here's how you do it, and really bringing them into the fold. So I feel like no matter where you are on your social media journey, like you can potentially become that person, or look to the people in your school that you feel and know are really good on social media and ask them for tips and tricks as well.